Then they're in the middle of a long-term loan. They owe more on their vehicle than what it's worth. And then right out of the gate, when they're young,
They can least afford it.
yeah, and they can least afford being in a bad position, they start this cycle of rolling negative equity.
We call this Inside the Lease. I'm Brian Estridge. Kelly's alongside. Chase is with us. We're here from D&M Auto Leasing. And I'm going to be self-serving, fellas. Just going to be honest with you. I got 2 kids in college. We got to be thinking about a vehicle here,
Yep.
Because, they're going to get out here very soon, and they're going to want their first vehicle. Does it make sense? Chase, I'll start with you. Does it make sense coming out of college, first vehicle, first job, to lease?
Absolutely. The one thing that you know about young people, really the only thing, is that things are going to change.
Yeah.
And I think about myself, moved, married, kids, job, moved offices. So people's commutes are going to change. Their income's going to change. Their marital situation is going to change.
Situation.
The family, growing the family. So, a lot of times I think kids are doing what their parents told them to do. And I can use myself as an example. My dad is buy a car, put a bunch of money down, pay it off extremely quick, have the title, and just drive that car until the wheels fall off. And he should buy, because he literally is going to keep that car until the wheels fall off.
Right.
He was trying to push that on me, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to tinker with the car. I like technology. I like getting something new every couple of years. And so, but if I just went with what he told me to do, I could end up in a trap where a lot of other kids do. And so with things changing in today's world, cars being as expensive as they are, people are getting pushed to long-term financing, because you get out of school, whether you go to school or not, people's income levels as a young adult are typically significantly different than whenever they're older, right? So you're going to be looking for, you got a tighter budget. What can I do? Well, when you go try to buy a vehicle from whatever place, long-term financing is the easy way. People may have some misconceptions about leasing, so they go do a long-term loan, and then you fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Any of those things I said, they move, their commute changes, they go to a new, they take a new job. I mean, we've had people call in, my truck won't fit in the parking garage. Get married, have a kid,
Right.
Who knows? Then they're in the middle of a long-term loan. They owe more on their vehicle than what it's worth. And then right out of the gate, when they're young,
And they can least afford it.
yeah, and they can least afford being in a bad position, they start this cycle of rolling negative equity. Negative equity is whenever you owe more on your car than what it's worth. And long-term loans are not set up. The way that they amortize out, cars drop in value more quickly early in the loan, and your payment's the same the whole time. So that's how it's worked now and forever. Negative equity early in a loan. So you start off the wrong way. And so the reason why leasing makes a ton of sense for young kids is specifically because life is going to change. When you do a shorter term deal, like a lease, you have a guaranteed, I like to say checkpoint, because let's say nothing does happen for a kid. They can always buy the lease out at the end.
Right.
So you have the 3 options. You can buy it, you can trade it, or you can turn it in. But with the commitment to it being shorter, and with a lease, the way it's structured, you're paying for the part of the car you're using. And so in your case, one of your kids gets out of school, you do a 3-year lease, 4-year lease, whatever, they can reevaluate everything. And so the payment is matched how they've used the car for that 3 or 4 years. And then at that point, they can reevaluate everything. Do I like it? Is it reliable? Do I want to keep it? Do I need something bigger? Do I need something smaller? Maybe they've made, a couple promotions and they want to get a nicer car. You have all the options. So specifically in today's environment, I think that honestly, it's made more sense than ever, because stuff's going to change and leasing gives them flexibility, and it puts them in a position to reevaluate a couple years down the road.
I'm thinking of their budget too, though. the monthly payment.
Well, it can be a trap.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be a trap. I think a lot of younger people, they don't realize the longer term you sign, the more negative equity you're going to have when you trade. I don't think a lot of them understand that. They understand I want a low payment. There's different ways to get a low payment. A lease is a low payment, but it's a shorter term. It's less commitment. And like Chase said, there's guarantees on the back end. So when you have that family change, if you're going to have family change, you're going to, get a raise and get a new territory and get a spouse and grow a family, the shorter the term gives you the most amount of flexibility, and having a guaranteed value at the end makes all kind of sense.
I'll hear
over and above.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say over and above signing a long-term finance contract, because I really want to hammer that home. I don't think they realize the longer the term, the more the negative equity.
Yep.
The more the negative equity when you trade.
And I'll hear some younger people say, well, I'll keep my car for 5 or 6 years. And, well, it's like, but they did keep the car for 5 or 6 years. But the difference is they were given a car by their parents.
Right.
They had no income.
Yep.
They had no opportunity. and they were in school, right? I mean, so, or living at home and working at a job. So as time goes on, it's a different situation. And I cannot stress enough for parents. My parents did it for me. And we do this for a ton of our customers, where we will put the kid have to be 18 in the state of Texas to sign a contract. I mean, is that a federal? I don't know if it's Texas, but maybe federal law. But when they're 18, so my parents put me on my vehicle when I went to college. They were going to make the payments on it. And we've got a program that's great for that, where we can add the kids to it. It does not impact their deal. A lot of people, I don't want my kid on it. I don't want to pay a higher rate. It has no impact on that whatsoever. Right. But they make all the payments on it. And so you make all the good payments for your kids. They get out of school,
Credit score.
750 Beacon,
Love it.
auto credit. They can, when they go get their apartment, they don't have to put down a big deposit. I mean, everything in life is easier and better. And a lot of parents don't think about that. Add them to the deal, set them up, and then they're really off the coattails. I mean, my parents got to.
And a lot of times, what we'll do is we'll talk to them about when the young person is going to graduate school, and we'll try to extend the lease 6 months to 12 months after graduation.
Get a job.
So think about
Just
what
to buy
Chase
some
has said.
time. Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you've got the credit because you're on the lease. So you have maybe you have a limited file, but you have that 700 Beacon because you've been on the lease with mom and dad, and then you graduate school. Now you have a college degree. You've got transportation. You go get a job. Now you have your college degree with a 700 Beacon. You have a job, and now the lease is up in 6 months. Now all of a sudden they can get to the end of the lease, go get something else,
Sure.
not be upside down, but extending it past the graduation point gives them a little time to breathe. The last thing you really want is, hey, I'm going to graduate school, I don't have a job yet, and I need to go get a new car.
Yeah.
So we'd love
Yeah,
for the
it's a cosign
terms to
again.
be, hey, Dad, I need you to come co-sign again because I don't have a job yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So we try to do it about a year after, or make the lease terminate a year after they graduate, so they have time to go get that job, so they can go do it on their own.
That's the
And
college
parents
grad
love
program
it.
you're talking about.
Yeah, parents love it because they're like, hey, I don't have to do a second one.
Love
My
that.
child can stand on.
We do that while they're in college. So,
I love that.
and then they want to go buy a house. They got good auto credit, makes getting a mortgage easier. We also have a college graduate program. So not everyone has a parent that's willing to co-sign,
Right.
or maybe their credit situation is different where they can't, or who knows what. A lot of times people that have no credit, that didn't have this happen, they go out, they want to go buy a car, and their credit file is really thin. Leasing takes better credit to qualify for than doing a loan, because the bank's guaranteeing you the value and you're giving it back, all those things. So you typically would have to go get an auto loan somewhere else, potentially fall victim to one of these long-term loan traps and create negative equity. We have a college graduate program. We have a lot of local banks and credit unions that want to establish relationships with young professionals that are college educated. And, within a couple of years of coming out with a college degree, good job, we're able to get people favorable approvals as if they've already financed a car before. And so, risk is higher, just in general. If you're going to loan somebody money that has already loaned money from you and paid you back, there's less chance they're not going to do it. You already have but someone you don't know that moves next door and they want to come borrow money, it's like, So it's a higher risk proposition. That's why first-time buyers, college students or college graduates, typically have to pay a higher rate. And then if they're in that loan and they're paying a higher rate because it's their first one and they still trade out of it, higher rate makes more negative equity. So it all kind of goes together. And the first deal, if you do it wrong, it just tees you up for a series of poor choices following that. And
then you're compromised when you have a lot of negative equity. You're compromised to, because that starts eating into the payment. Well, I want to pay $500 a month. Well, 100 of it's negative equity.
Yeah.
So now we're not at 500. We're at 400, and we tell people, you don't have a car problem. You have a loan problem.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to fix your loan for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And, there's two things that come to mind, too, before we wrap this session up is one, when I'm thinking about my kids, they're all into technology.
Yeah.
And the fact that in a lease, they're going to be able to get into a car more technologically sound and up to speed and safer.
Yes.
More often, right?
Yeah.
Quicker.
I'm a tech guy. I drive a Tesla, and just seeing where the
go figure. Yeah.
Seeing where the world is going with safety and technology, it's only going to continue to increase more rapidly.
Yeah.
And I feel like stuff's changed pretty significantly. I've been working here for almost 18 years, and just looking at cars and their features and options and equipment and everything else, it's only going to get even faster. And so leasing is going to put people, whether it's a young professional college graduate or a 60-year-old, in today's environment, the rate of change is going to only increase more rapidly, and cars are getting more expensive.
I was going to say that's the other part.
And, you factor all those things together, leasing gives you a shorter window to be able to trade out of it. And you're going to, at the end of the day, if you do it wrong, you pay for your sins when it's time to trade. And so
start early.
Start early.
Start early, right?
If I could just go to the local colleges and have a 30-minute talk with them,
you'd be a great professor.
Yeah,
And the answer to
the
answer to the quiz is always going to be D&M.
Exactly. Yeah. The right answer.
Yeah, the right answer will always be D&M.
It's D&M. I love it.
Yeah, pass or fail.
Right. Exactly. He's Chase. He's Kelly. I'm Brian. Thanks for joining us here on Inside the Lease.